morning, everyone. I'm recording that for my daughter, who's chosen to not be here today. My name is Suman, and I see a lot of faces, familiar faces. I know most of you have known Sonia for a long time, so it will not surprise you to know that she and I have talked about this very event, our funeral, many times. There is a German saying, "Was er gut schlafen als gut essen." It's better to sleep well than to eat well. Sonia embodied that. She wanted to sleep well, and she always did. So, after her passing last Friday, as I was preparing for this, I started going through my journal and my notes, and the first mention is July 14th, 2013, almost 9 years ago. My daughter and I were going to move to Portland, and so she had taken care of her will and her paperwork, and she wanted to get some planning out of the way. My notes say, "Keep it simple, stupid." Make sure there is Wagner's funeral march at some point. Make sure everybody gets home safe. That's Sonia. In December 2016, I found another journal entry. Sonia's funeral. She wants to make sure there is chocolate. Not just for the guests, but for the coffin. She wants to be buried with some chocolate. I'm not kidding! Exclamation point. A couple years ago, around Christmas, she first asked me if I could say a few things at this event. And I said, no, I'm going to end up roasting you. I also told her that I'm kind of a blunt instrument when it comes to communication. She said, that's perfectly fine. Blunt instrument who says a few things like they are, sends everyone home safe. So here we are. Don't say I didn't warn you. I have to start by telling you the first time I met her. It was sometime in the fall of '97. My wife Jolie, Ilika's sister, and I had been going out a few months, and she wanted to make sure that the best assessor of character that she knew met me before things got any more serious. And that person was Sonia. So I got invited to this dinner in downtown, near downtown in Lower Greenville, this place called Pietro's. It's no longer there. But that's where Sonia and her good friend Carolyn used to hold court. Pietro, his family, all the staff knew who she was, treated her like royalty. She had the corner table, and I sat across from her. And I thought, she reminds me of somebody. And who she reminded me of is one of my favorite characters from one of my favorite stories, this Truman Capote story called The Christmas Memory. Buddy's cousin, small and sprightly, built like a bantam hen. I don't think I told her that, or maybe I did, because it didn't take long for her to say, "You could just leave now." And here we are 25 years later. And what I've learned in those 25 years from Sonia is that not only was she the best judge of character, but she could be quite a character sometimes, as we all know. Funny, charming, make people laugh, touch them in the most tender of ways. But she had also what I call real character. The word, when you boil it down to its most basic elements, strength, integrity, a natural desire to always do the right thing. She was one of probably 3 people that I've met in 50 years in my life who were not afraid to call out a wrong. In that old way of saying, you know, they don't build them like that anymore. She was that. There is a very famous line from a play by the German playwright Bertolt Brecht. It's a famous play called Downfall of the Egotist, Johann Fatzen. And the line goes at a very climactic point. It goes like this. The battle hasn't killed us, but at calm air in a quiet room, we kill ourselves. Sonia had survived the Great War, and she was determined not to kill herself doing nothing in a quiet room. She was determined to make her life count. And that's what Sonia's character really means to me. In funny ways too, you know, she had high standards, she held herself to it, and she expected a little less of everybody else. Even when it came down to her choice of James Bond. Sean Connery was the gold standard. Pierce Brosnan, just a pretty boy. Roger Moore, a clown. If she had those things to say about famous actors that were not Sean Connery, you can imagine some of the things that she had to say about, let's say, somebody's boyfriend or a significant other. More than once I heard her say, "That's not a man. That's just a boy still looking for his mama." And in those times, I would do my best Sean Connery impression. I'm terrible at it. And I'd say, "Yes, Monty Penny, I concur." And she'd say, "You just go back to being you and don't sully Sean Connery." I would. So, you know, I learned a lot of other things about Sonia. One of the most important things that she taught me was how to listen to people, especially when they were talking about themselves, their own accomplishments. You know, especially in the last few years, we watched a lot of TV. Before, we used to go out a lot, and she'd hear, let's just say, a certain self-made billionaire tycoon. And she'd listen to these people talk and look at me and nod and say, "You know what that is." Because we all know that behind every so-called self-made success, there is a person like Sonia. The person who had your back when nobody else did. The person who was that kind of glue in my life for the better part of 25 years. And I will never forget that. You know, this is why I asked my wife to name our daughter after her. And she, of course, agreed. I'll never forget that night. It was a week before Bella was born, September 15th, 2007. We had dinner at the Crescent. We were going to go to the Dallas Symphony after that, Sibelius' Second Symphony. And we, during the course of this meal, tell her that we have settled upon a name. The name's going to be Bella Sonia Aurora. And Sonia starts crying. Then she punches me and she says, "You're the only person besides John who could make me cry like this. And look what you've done. And now I have to go compose myself." And she goes to the bathroom. And you know what happened next if you heard Mike. I'm waiting for the bill, and the bill never comes. This happened often. We thought about it often. Okay. "You have to go to the bathroom." I said, "No, you don't." "Yes, I do." "Okay, leave your purse with me." "No." "I need that purse." I said, "Why? There's a mirror right there." "I need to powder my nose." Finally, I said, "Sonia, I know you're getting old, but you know powdering your nose means something else now. It means you are snorting cocaine in the bathroom. Using my very superior powers of deduction and my advanced math skills, and doing a quick estimate on the number of times she went to the bathroom, I can safely tell you that she probably did several thousands worth of drugs. I did ask James to strike the word special out of the special tribute, so don't say I didn't warn you. But yeah, that's what she did, and more than one person can say that. One of the best things about having a person like that in your life, with whom there is no embarrassment, she had nothing to hide from me, I had nothing to hide from her, was the ability to share that person, not just, of course, with my daughter, but with my friends. You know, a lot of them are here. The reason they're here is because they got to know her, spend time with her, enjoy her cooking, eat at restaurants with her, meet her at parties. And if you didn't get a chance to do that, you missed out. So those of my friends who are here today, thank you for coming. It means a lot, and it's personal. I'll tell you something else about how personal she was. A lot of you know that I have a mother, and my mother loves me and cares for me more than anything else. So you'd think that having this other mother would make my mother jealous. But the reality is it's just the opposite. From the very time my mother met my other mother, there was this bond where now my mother's only regret is that I will lose 3 parents when I'm an orphan. And I have to tell her that no, it's not a regret, it's a privilege. My mother knows what an anchor she was here for me, because my mother and I lived so far away from each other. And what an anchor she was. I would be committing a crime if I did not tell you how much she did for our family. 2009, 2010 would have put her at 78, 79 years old. She was still working full-time at a firm downtown when my wife was diagnosed with terminal cancer. For 14 months, anything I needed after work, she would come to my house. Susan was there almost every day. If I and Susan had to take my wife to the hospital, she stayed with Bella. And then on the weekends, she would turn around and do it again. Okay? Never a complaint, and go back to work the next day. That is something that you don't see very often. And after my wife passed away, after everybody else had to go back to their lives, she was still there for me and Bella. You know, she was the one who insisted that I make some time for myself, which is how I rediscovered my joy of writing. So I'm very, very grateful to this person. In the last couple of years, we had a lot of occasions to just sit around and do nothing, because there were no more going to the theater, going to the symphony, all the things that we like to do. And she would often say this thing, you know, there's a time to live and there's a time to die, and I am not afraid a minute of dying, or I don't give, a hoot about dying. In 2019, when she had finally stopped cooking, and Bill had unplugged her oven so that she wouldn't start a fire, my daughter decided that she was going to make this 4-course German meal for Sonia, and we're going to take it to our home. So there was, especially with all day, and some goulash, and some German potato salad, and a German chess pie. And as we were sitting there and eating, and this chest pie is staring me in the face, Sonia says that again. You know, there is a time to live and there is a time to die. And if I die right now, I'll die happy. And I said, Sonia, yes, there is a time to live and a time to die. But right now, I just want a slice of this pie. From that day on, we turned it into our own little nursery rhyme. And she would even say that while she was in the nursing home these last few months. There's a time to live and a time to die. And I'd say, okay, there's a time, and now's the time for a slice of pie. That's fearlessness. When you think about where that fearlessness comes from, I can think of the famous philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. In one of his most famous works, called The Greatest Weights, Nietzsche proposes this thought experiment. What if some day or night a demon were to steal after you in your loneliest loneliness and say to you, this life as you now live it and have lived it, you'll have to live once more and innumerable times more, and there will be nothing new in it, but every pain and every joy and every thought and sigh and everything unutterably small or great in your life will have to return to you, all in the same succession and sequence. Then he continues, would you throw yourself down and gnash your teeth and arise the demon who spoke thus? Or have you once experienced a tremendous moment when you would have answered him, you are a god, and never have I heard anything more divine? If this thought gained possession of you, it would change you as you are, or perhaps crush you. The question in each and everything, do you desire this once more and innumerable times more, would lie upon your actions as the greatest weights. Or how well disposed would you have to become to yourself and to life? I nailed that for you, Sonia. The point is that that German over there was so well disposed to herself and to her life that it would have made that other German, Nietzsche, very proud. There's a few people that I want to acknowledge before I wrap things up. First and foremost, her brother Wilfred, who's 86, battling cancer in Germany. He, on behalf of his son Henning and his daughter Suzanne, thanks us all for being here for her. To all the young ones who have had the good fortune to call Sonia your Oma, I hope you'll cherish this presence, this wonderful present of her presence in your life. Ruby and Bill, you have done more for her than a lot of people can do for their own family. It said something about Sonia's ability to tell people that when I had to go away from Texas for a few years, she said, don't worry, Bill and Ruby are here. I trust them. They will be here for me. And she was absolutely right. Not only did you do things for Sonia, but the way you made all those events special, even as she could not. Her birthday, Bella's birthday, hey, even my birthday, the holidays. I'm speaking for Bella to tell you that in losing her, I feel like we have been two incredible people in our lives. So thank you. Lastly, Bella, the way I saw you suffer, the way I saw you worry about your Oma every single day, especially these last few months, you prepared yourself to say goodbye to her 50 times when we went to the hospital, when we went to the nursing home. Until that very last day when you marched out into the hallway to flag down this nurse and get the blanket because she was cold. And nothing bothered you, not the smell, nothing. It was something else to behold. You know, when I wanted to name you after Sonia, it was a hope, an aspiration, a point of pride, like these things usually are. But all too often, naming somebody after somebody else becomes nothing more than an afterthought. But since your favorite novel is The Namesake, I know that you know how profound that connection can sometimes be. So it fills me with great pride to recognize what a true namesake you are for your Oma. I know how proud and happy your mom would be, and I want you to know that. Sonia, thank you for everything. As sad as I am to lose you, I will find happiness, just like you showed me, in the knowledge that the greatest weight has been lifted off you. May you rest in peace. Thanks, everybody.